Imagine stepping into a room that technically does not exist, holding a card that promises to change your life forever, only to realize years later that it took everything you actually cared about. This is what your life looks like if you join a secret society. You are 19 years old, sitting in the back of an old university lecture hall with ivy crawling up the stone walls. You got in on a scholarship and sheer stubbornness. Your father drove a delivery truck for 30 years, and your mother cleaned office floors until her knees gave out. Around you are students wearing watches worth more than your family's car, talking casually about summer estates and family legacy. You feel like a ghost among them. You eat alone in the library, study until your eyes burn, and tell yourself that loneliness is just the entry fee to a better future. Your grades are your only proof that you belong in the seat you sit in. Then, one rainy evening, an old professor asks you to stay behind after his lecture. His office smells of expensive leather and old books written in languages you cannot read. He hands you a glass of something warm, looks you in the eyes, and asks questions no teacher has ever asked you. What do you actually believe in? Who do you want to become? Do you think the world is fair? You answer with brutal honesty because you are too tired to perform. He listens, nods slowly, and slides a small textured card across the desk. No name, no address you recognize. Just a symbol pressed into the paper, an eye inside a triangle inside a circle. He tells you to show up at an address on Thursday at midnight alone and to tell no one. For 3 days, you barely sleep. You stare at the card, thinking of your father coming home smelling of diesel and your mother's cracked hands. This card feels like the first thing to ever truly choose you. Every sensible thought tells you to throw it away, but you have spent your whole life waiting for a door like this. On Thursday night, you go. An unmarked stone building stands quietly under a single lamp. A figure in a dark cloak leads you through corridors lit only by flickering candlelight and lined with portraits of stern men. You stand before 12 masked elders sitting in a circle. They ask if you come of your own free will and if you can guard a secret to your grave. You say yes to everything. They place a blindfold over your eyes, lead you through total darkness, and make you repeat ancient oaths. A cold metal emblem is pressed against your chest as a quiet reminder of what your silence is worth. When the blindfold comes off, they call you Brother. At first, you are at the bottom of the order. You clean the hall, polish the brass, stack the chairs, and learn the subtle language of glances, secret handshakes, and silent passwords. You learn to read every room before you step into it. 2 years later, you graduate. The same world that once ignored you suddenly clears your path. You get a position at a prestigious firm without even applying. A senior partner wears your exact ring. Doors swing open effortlessly. A whispered word solves issues before they even start. By 29, you are married to a sharp, kind woman and holding your newborn daughter in your arms. But behind the scenes, your climb continues. As a warden, you guard the lodge doors and initiate new nervous recruits, seeing your own past in their shaking hands. You start seeing how the society truly operates. Quiet favors, erased mistakes, and invisible influence. By 36, you are elected master of your lodge, sitting in the carved chair at the center. You wear the collar and jewel of your office, leading the rituals you once watched from the back row. You sit at private dinners where city leaders settle deals over quiet drinks. You hold real power, the kind that never needs to shout. But back home, your daughter is growing up fast. She finds your ceremonial ring one morning and asks what the eye means. You brush it off as a harmless club, but she looks at you with sharp, doubting eyes. You start missing dinners, school plays, and quiet family moments for late-night emergency meetings. You convince yourself you are doing it all to protect them, but deep down, you know you are splitting into two different people, a father who keeps failing his family, and a master who never fails the order. By 44, Your influence spreads far beyond a single city. You are elevated to oversee chapters across multiple regions. You travel constantly, inspecting lodges, settling decades-old disputes, and reviewing financial records. You begin to see the true scale of the society. It isn't just a local club, it is an invisible web woven into financial institutions, high courts, and policy houses. You meet senior members who have served for 40 years, men who speak of decades the way ordinary people speak of weekends. The society doesn't measure time in years. It measures time in generations. You learn to make moves that will only show results 10 years down the road. But while you plan decades ahead, your present life slowly crumbles. You call home from endless hotel rooms, but your daughter, now a teenager, stops answering. She tells you that you were never really there for her, and you cannot give her the real reason why. Your wife grows distant in the large, quiet house you bought her. Last winter, your father passed away in his sleep, still in his small house. You stood at his grave in a coat that cost more than his delivery truck, feeling like a complete stranger to your own blood. You wanted to tell him everything, to explain why you were gone for so long, but the words would have meant nothing to him. By 52, you are summoned to a private estate where the inner council meets. 12 men guide the entire network in total secrecy, and they offer you an empty seat at the table. Here, there are no robes or theatrical rituals, only raw, unfiltered influence. You review confidential records spanning decades and see how invisible hands have shaped market shifts, key elections, and major international agreements. You learn the golden rule of the network: never seek public attention. Public visibility leads to scrutiny, and scrutiny leads to collapse. Invisibility is survival. When a persistent journalist gets close to uncovering names and financial trails, you don't issue threats. Instead, his editor receives a massive corporate sponsorship. The story is quietly pulled, and the journalist is handed a promotion that keeps him too busy to ask questions. You approve the plan without feeling a single pulse of hesitation. You catch your reflection in a dark window and see your father's tired eyes staring back at you. Realizing you traded your own family just to sit at this table. By 60, you are chosen to lead the council as Grand Master. You sit at the absolute top of a shadow network most people think is just an urban legend. Your word directs thousands of influential figures across the globe. You hold more sway than leaders whose names are printed on history books, yet your own name appears on 0 public records. But every night, you return home to an enormous, silent stone house. Your wife passed away 2 years ago while you were away on business, and you could not return in time to say goodbye. You sit alone at a dining table built for 20 people, keeping her chair exactly where it was, talking to the silence just to hear a voice in the room. Your daughter did not even come to the funeral. She sent a single short note saying she was sorry, but not for you. You realize your father had nothing, yet he was never once alone. You ruled the world, but lost everything that actually belonged to you. By 69, you step into the role of architect, designing internal structures and security measures to keep the network hidden in a modern digital era. You build compartmentalized layers so that no single leak can ever expose the whole system. Slowly, you realize you have become the same old professor who once sat across from you. One evening, you notice a young scholarship student studying alone in the library, carrying that same desperate, hungry look you had 50 years ago. You feel a sudden impulse to walk away, to let them keep a normal, quiet life. But then you remember how badly you wanted to be chosen. Your hand reaches for a small blank card, marking the start of a new cycle. Now, at 80 years old, you live alone far from the city. You wake up at 3 in the morning, walking cold hallways lined with portraits of dead men whose secrets you took with you. Somewhere in a desk drawer sits a sealed letter you wrote to your daughter 11 years ago, one you never had the courage to send. You hold your old ceremonial ring, watching the dark windows. Tonight, somewhere out there, another young person is studying alone, waiting for a door to open. Someone is about to hand them a blank card. They will take it, they will climb, and 50 years from now, they will end up sitting right where you are, surrounded by absolute power and completely alone.